Okay. Hello, Kaydee. How are you?
Hi, Kitty. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. This is obviously I'm having you on my channel today. Well, thank you. Actually, let me say thank you for agreeing to participate in my channel. I think this is something that's so important to me, and I couldn't imagine not having you be a part of something that I really feel is value adding in the world, right? And
Oh,
so,
thank you.
yeah. So maybe you can introduce yourself. What? Yeah, introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Katie. For those of you who don't know me, um, Terry and I are friends for like the last million years. I don't know what has it been. Where we now?
Long.
Before since before, like yes, like in high school, we've been friends for a good couple of years. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I invited you to talk today about friendship and our relationship in particular. And you asked me, why would I want to talk about this? It's not that interesting.
Yeah,
And
like I'm
so,
curious why do you feel that people want to know about our relationship?
because I think we have a weirdly unique relationship, and I'm on a different, like I feel like our relationship is so unique. I feel like it's very unique. And also, I have a deeper, like a divine appreciation for our relationship, which is so different to my other relationships and other friendships, which I also appreciate. But there's just a different level to our relationship. And then obviously, we're friends for so long, which is very rare. Like, you don't find people who are friends for so long. It's not a usual thing. So I thought there was value in sharing why our relationship has been so, what's the word, long standing or like long, I don't know what, like,
Yeah, I think so. Long standing, long
exactly.
standing.
And so that's why. And so, can you remember where we met? How we met?
No, I think we met at school.
Yeah.
It was I don't know if it was a like a meeting thing or something. But I know when I met you, I didn't like you.
Right.
I was
That's
like, I thought.
right. Right.
I know that when I met you, I didn't like you. I thought, look at this girl. She's like so forward and like loud and in your face, and she thinks she's so quiet. Like, no, I didn't like you, and
And
I don't think we weren't friends like immediately.
mhm.
I think it took a while actually before we actually became friends. But my initial meeting of you, like, I didn't like you. You weren't my favorite.
So I don't know if I didn't like you. That's so strong. Woo! So spicy.
No, I didn't like you. I didn't like you.
I mean, like, so I think we didn't immediately click as well. We were in the first year of high school, like, and I think we weren't in the same class immediately, and that's
Mm,
why we weren't like very saw each other from the far away, and then you could make
yeah.
assumptions about me, which are actually very true because I am quite loud and I am quiet. I am just like the best that you can. Whatever.
Oh.
So I feel like that's accurate for our relationship. For the first 2 years, we weren't like very tight, and then we got placed into the same class. And in fact, we still had our friends, right? We got placed into the
Yeah.
same class 2 years later when we started getting closer. We still had our own friends, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so and then as the years got like when we got to grade 11 or the second last year
Yeah,
of
I
high
think what it I think what it was because like both of us we were nerds, and so we were part of so many societies. And because we were part of so many societies and committees together,
yeah,
that we almost always found ourselves
yeah,
together. And even though we weren't close, like, best of buds, but whenever we got into these groups, you were the familiar face and I
yeah,
was the familiar face for
yeah,
you. And
exactly,
so we were almost forced
yeah,
to kind of be together.
yeah. And I think like I feel like we're very different, but we connect on so many. Like there's some things that just draw us together. So the thing that I like very much about you is that you're so independent. Like your mind is, regardless of what's happening around you, you are able to think for yourself, like very freely, very independently. And this was something that really attracted me to you. And I feel like this I identify in myself as well. Like, and so like honestly we're very different. I'm like this heavy Jesus vibes, like heavy, right? And you're not so heavy into Jesus, but like we still connect, right? Like we still find very common things that really make our hearts beat for the same type of things, but we're so different in so many ways, right?
Yeah. No, definitely.
So I want to go back to our group of friends, because this is something that I think is like really amazing about you, is that we have when we were in high school and even today, right? We have our own groups of friends. They do their own things, but somehow we are still able to find each other in that. Our lives go on, but we're still able to find each other despite our groups of friends. But I find that a lot of people in any relationships, right? In a lot of relationships, when there's sort of a new friend on the block, and then the other friends have a problem. Do you remember in high school, one of your friends had an issue for the fact that we started spending time together?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, then I obviously, now I attribute it to very like childish thinking and immaturity. Right now I attribute it to that. But this still happens in like some grown-up relationships where people get jealous of this is my friend, or even with a husband, right? With a husband, you have a husband. It's possible that a husband, and I'm not saying that your husband is, but it's possible that in people's relationships, a husband can be jealous of a friend, or a friend can be jealous that now my friend has gotten married and she's neglecting me and blah blah blah. So I want you to talk around what you're thinking is, because you navigated that so well, even in high school. And up to today, you still seem to, I don't know how you do it. You just seem to manage these groups of friends where nobody feels neglected or nobody feels, I don't know.
I don't know. Like, that's actually quite a difficult question. Like, I don't know why and how. And I think what I can say is that each of my groups of friends, they added a different value, or they added a different aspect to my life and to my relationship with him. So my relationship with you is unique because of this is the value that you add. My relationship with the next person is unique because this is the value that you add. And I think maybe the reassurance that people need, like, even though there's somebody new coming in, they're just adding a different facet to my life. They're not taking away from you, and they're not making you any less. They're just adding something different. And I don't think I couldn't articulate that, I don't think, in high school. So if you had to ask me that in high school, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that. But I think just over the years and having friends come and having friends go, you kind of realize that some people are there for a season and some people are there for a reason. Very cliche, but it's true. And I think over the years, I've actually that's what I've picked up, and that's what I've realized. So I think it's just a case of reassuring the older friends or the pre-existing friends, like, you know what, it's not taking away from what you add, but more it's adding to me, like, for my own relationship. So I think that's what it is. But I didn't know. I don't know how else I could navigate, or how I did navigate it. It just kind of happened.
But this is part of why I think that our relationship, not our relationship. This is why I wanted to share parts of our relationship. I think there are parts of us that I would never share with anybody else. Like, because you have to do some really crazy things, and I feel like I must protect them from you. Like, that's so valuable, because not everybody is able to understand from this relationship like this, and that's okay, because there's this concept that you're my best friend, and so when you're my best friend, you must give me everything because you're my best friend. But you can just be my friend that's really good at this part of what in my life, and this one could be a very good friend in doing this particular thing. And so I think that's something that we need to learn as human beings as we navigate the relationship in general. because now I want to go on to your, because you're married now, you have a son, you're on your way to the next bun in the oven.
Next one.
Yeah. So, and you seem to, because with you, I never feel neglected, right? And I never feel under pressure to do anything for you, or like, you know what I mean? But I don't ever feel neglected by you as a friend either. It's very, very strange, but you seem to balance it so well. And now you have a husband, as I said, and now you have another baby on the way, and you can hear Aaron in the background making noise. Now he's me.
I tried to tell you, I was like tapping you, like shaking my finger.
But you seem to find a really good balance, just like with all your relationships in your life, Kaydee. And I don't know how you find the time for it. I really don't, but you seem to do it very well. And I think, and you can comment, yeah, I think it's because you have quality relationships. Yeah, I'm quality in your life. You have quality relationships. You don't have like this overflow of relationships, and I think that's why.
Yes, it's exactly that. It's exactly that. Like, and I remember when I was younger, it was all about having the most friends and being the most popular and having, you know, this overflow of people in your life who you thought were friends. And again, as I got older, some people started falling by the wayside, or relationships or friendships just kind of it dissolved. And so the people that I keep in contact with, or the people that I check in or touch base with, those are the people who I feel add value, and those are the people who I feel are important to me. And so I'm not under the illusion that, you know, it's not a case of the people that I keep in my life are not people who I need to text every day to check and how are you and how's your day, and I need to know every little, you know, second of what happened during your day. It's more people that if I speak to you today and I speak to you in 2 weeks' time, we speak as if we spoke the day before. And it's the people also that I have in my close circle, I think are people who we all understand. We all mature enough to understand that everybody has their own lives and everybody's busy. And so if I don't hear from you for a while, I'm not going to be like, oh my word, I'm devastated. Did she forget about me? Did she whatever? You know, it could just be a case of things are just going a bit hectic. Let me just pop in and just check, you know, if you're okay. And if you reply 3 days time, that's also okay. But just coming back to what you're saying, the people that I check in with and the people that I keep dear to me, those are the quality people.
Yeah.
And because it's not so many, it's not quantity, it's quality.
Yeah.
So, and that's important to me, just to kind of, you know, just check, are you okay? Are you fine? Haven't heard from you, just a quick hi, whatever the case may be. And if you've got time to have a long conversation, fantastic, and we can do that. But if not, that's okay too. So yeah, it's definitely about the quality.
And this is so important, what you were talking about earlier, like you realize that everybody has lives, and if you don't respond, you don't respond, but like you're not going to be shattered by, oh my word, she's not talking to me today, what's going on? And I feel like we were talking the other day about it, how you mute people like it's nobody's business. I'm like, no.
Why must you let my secret out? Why must I told you that in confidence?
I'm sorry. I would guilty to do that, right? But the funny thing is that if I had to do that to you, I wouldn't feel guilty, because not that I would ever do that to you, but I'm just saying that if I had if I ever had to do that to you, that same guilt wouldn't sit on me, or that same guilt wouldn't sit on me, because as I said earlier, I don't feel like there's this, I'm sure that you have expectations of me, but in terms of how often I talk to you and how often I communicate with you, and you know, that's not an expectation. And I feel like that's so freeing, and I feel like people would benefit more if they just come with realistic expectations in their relationship.
Yeah.
Especially with their friends, right? Friends who have lives, friends who are mothers, friends who are married. I think that people should really learn to manage their expectations around relationships, because one of the things that I find and I feel with you is that I don't live under this Kaydee expectation. And I don't, like, when it's your birthday, of course I know to say happy birthday to you, but I don't feel like you're going to freak out if I don't say happy birthday to you. Of course I'm not going to not say happy birthday to you because it's important. But the point is that this, like, expectation it's not loaded over me. Like, you're going to be angry if I don't say happy birthday. If I don't say Merry Christmas, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, these are important things that we should, if we cherish,
Yeah.
I think if we cherish the people in our lives, we want to love, we want to show them love on their birthdays and on special occasions, of course. But I'm really grateful that this pressure doesn't live on top of me. Like, you don't put that expectation on me, and it's so freeing. And in fact, it makes me want to say happy birthday to you. It makes me want to say Merry Christmas to you. It makes me want to ask how are you and whatnot, because the expectation, I don't feel like you expect it from me, and so therefore I don't feel like I owe you anything. I want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now the question is, because the funny thing is, Kaydee, I expect it from other people. Maybe not people that are like you and I, we are close, right? So I don't expect it from you, or I don't put this expectation on others. But like people who just come into my life, I feel like if you want to be in my life, especially boys, like, if you want to be in my life, you better recognize it's my birthday today. You better recognize that it's me and it's Christmas, and you must say Merry Christmas to me. But you do it so well, so maybe you can teach me now. I don't know how you do it, just to say how you sort of just free us from this expectation of doing things.
I think it's because, Terry, I don't I'm not going to get angry, or I'm not going to hold you to an expectation I don't feel I can always meet. So that I think it's that for me, because there are days when I forget, oh my word, I was supposed to send this one a message, or oh my word, I was supposed to check in with this one. Like, as an example, I was supposed to send my stepsisters a message yesterday, and I forgot. I completely forgot. So I actually have to go back to them and send them a message and say, listen, you can call now, or I'm available, or whatever. But it's human nature for you to forget, and it's human nature for you to get carried away by the day-to-day stuff. And so because I don't want to be held to that expectation, and I don't want people to be angry with me for not messaging, or not texting, or not phoning. So I generally try to practice that exact same thing. And that's all it is that I'm not gonna hold you to an expectation that I don't feel I can always meet.
And that's such a kindness, Kaydee. I think there is such a kindness to give to anybody, to say, whatever I can't bring, I'm not going to expect that from you to bring. But I know that I can. That's such a kindness. So, Kaydee, our lives, I think our lives are very different in terms of, like, if people look from the outside in, right? You are mommy, I'm not. You are married, I don't even have a boyfriend. I don't even have anything that resembles. I don't even have anything that resembles a love life. And you are quite happy in those relationships, and you, like, in terms of your family, like your extended family, you are on your mom's side, obviously. You are very close, and like that. And for me, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. So in this, like, in these ways, our relationships are very different. And I think what works well, again, for our relationship is that you are not envious of my life, and I am not envious of your life. And we are able to celebrate everything that happens in each other's lives without saying, like, yo, I wish I was married. Of course, this is my desire to be married. But, like, it's not like, oh my word, Kaydee's married, I wish I was married. I wish Kaydee's pregnant, I wish I was pregnant. Like, those things don't happen in our relationships. And maybe you want to talk on why you celebrate things that happen in my life and still content in your own life.
I think for me, because when I was where you were, or where you are now, where I wasn't married and I never had kids, and I never, I wasn't in this phase of my life, I felt that the people who are where I am now at that time would would look down on the fact that you're not married, you don't have kids, you don't whatever, and almost give the impression that your life is lesser than, or it's not as important, or the things that you do or your priorities are not as important, or the things that are important to you are not as important, because for somebody who is married and has kids, that is, or that seems to be the bigger focus, and that seems to be the most important thing. And now I'm in on the other side, and so I still feel like when it comes to, when I speak to people who are not married, or I speak to people who don't have kids, I still feel like I want to celebrate where they are. I don't want them to feel how I was made to feel, that if you're not married or you don't have children, you're not there yet, or you know, you haven't made it, or you know, that type of thing. So
Yeah.
it's just a case of I didn't appreciate being made to feel that way, so I wouldn't want the next person to feel that way. And so, because I feel like people are, everybody's journey is different, and everybody places different, or places importance on different things. It doesn't mean that because your path is not my path, that your path is less significant than mine.
Yeah.
And I think that's why. So I do celebrate you, and I do celebrate the things that you do, and I'm happy for you, and I'm genuinely happy for you. For that very reason, like it's our journeys have taken two totally different, like you say, it's we've taken two totally different paths, but neither one is worth celebrating more than the other.
Yeah. Agreed.
You know what I mean?
That's so good.
So yeah, that's just my thing. Like, you know, I don't want the next person to feel lesser than, and especially you, because you're so much of quality. Exactly that. Like, I don't want you to ever feel like lesser than, because you're not, you know, because you're not married, and because you don't have children, and because it's not a case of exactly that you are lesser than. I mean, if I look at these things that I've done that you haven't done, and these things that you've done that I've never done, and equally important. So it's not the case of one journey is more important than the other. So I try a lot of the time place not to place that importance on the actual journey,
Yeah.
but more celebrate the successes of each journey, and that's just what it is.
And that's so like important, like to not be like jealous or envious of each other, but to genuinely celebrate the things that your friend is doing, or the person that you're in relationship with is doing, because otherwise you become covetous, man. Otherwise you begin to be resentful of them achieving, or them doing things that seemingly make them happy, because the things that you think are going to make you happy don't necessarily make you happy. So I could, for example, wish to be a mother because you are a mother and you're so good at it. So I could wish
Yeah.
to be, and find out once I'm pregnant that actually this thing is not for me, right? I'm not saying it's not for me. I'm just saying that I could discover it. But in wishing for what our friends have, we could later on discover that this actually isn't for me. But then we stuck with it, and we've become envious of our friends. And I don't think envy should exist in a real, authentic, honest relationships, right?
Yeah.
That's just what I
Yeah,
think.
definitely.
And now, speaking of honesty, something that you are is like brutally honest. Like, I used to struggle with how honest you are. Like, no, really, I used to struggle with how honest you are. You in this one, you are like the mother of that. She just tells me stuff, and I'm like, you, like this lady, just telling me. So you're very honest, which now I appreciate it. But like coming up, like growing up, like when you were like going to high school, into college, into coming into womanhood, I struggle with how honest you are, Kaydee. No. But now, as I say, I appreciate the honesty, because now I understand, because of the quality of our relationship again. I'm able to, not only am I able to say, listen here, I disagree with you. I'm able to say that, and it's not going to cause a thing, right? It's not going to cause us to lose our friendship, and now we're rocking the boat, and oh my word. So I can honestly say with you, listen, I don't agree with that. You smoke something today, and no, I agree, disagree. Disagree. And things will still be fine between us. But then on the other hand, with that as well, with you being so honest and brutally honest, might I add, is that now I understand that it's from a place of, it's not malice, it's not unkindness, it's not anything like that. It's really because of our relationship and the foundation that exists in our lives in terms of our relationship. I'm able to understand that when you say something that's honest that I might not like in fact, a while ago I was in a thing. I was in, can we say entanglement? I was in with someone, and you had said to me that's not going to work out. And of course I didn't want to hear that. Of course I didn't like hearing that, but that was the truth, right? And I actually can't remember if I agreed with you or disagreed with you or said, oh, let's see how it goes. I can't remember. But I very clearly remember you saying to me that that's not going to work out. And you were right? You were right, because I have no love life. It's a dry season. But the point is, like, I could know in that moment that this is not from a place of ugly, this is not from a place of nasty. It's just because you know me and because you know me. And that's something that I feel like people, really, if they want to have these long-lasting relationships and relationships that are real and authentic, they have to make space for this honesty. To be able to say what's in their heart. Otherwise, it's gonna make you crazy. Like, it's just gonna be able to be honest with your friend. I feel like people need to really be as honest as they possibly can with their friends, but in the same way, like, you allow me to say, nah, I disagree. For that also to be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think we get this, like, we get this, because sometimes if we even tell me, you don't look like today, you don't look nice, you even tell me that. And I'm like, what? What are you wearing? Why are you wearing that? You look like, and sometimes you'll be teasing me, of course, because even that lives in our relationship. It sounds like we have this very, like, deep relationship, but our relationship is also fun and energetic, and we're able to tease each other and call each other names, but not like ugly, earth-shattering, damaging names. And this also loves in our relationship.
And don't let the people think I'm the only one that criticizes. don't let the people think that I'm the only one that criticizes. You won't even tell me. You won't even tell me in a nice way, Kaydee, there's a piece of hair there, or your hair don't look like You will just laugh at me and tell me, Kaydee, what are you doing? And then you will burst out laughing, and then I must sit there like a thought, and then I must not know what is going on because you laughing at me. I don't know what is wrong, but you laughing.
Listen, I mean, listen here, I'm kinder than you, please. Just like, let's get it right. I really say negative things to you, so please. I'm the roses in this relationship. I'm the sunflower and the positive light and the kindness. Let us not get it twisted, please. Please. Look here, I want to do quickly because I don't want to take too much of your time, maybe 10 more minutes. I want to talk about Gabriel, who was your husband. So,
yes,
obviously a very important part of your life. And somehow you seem to share him with your close friends. I feel like you share him, like with me, you share him a lot, you share him in ways I'm like, okay, this is too much. But Gabriel and I, we even have our own relationship, right? And Gabriel and I even argue like we brothers, like we are siblings. We are like, he's heavy, like, he's in my face. I mean, his face, like arguments, like, like we're very angry at each other. But you seem to do this very well, but you just don't get involved. You just able to be like, no, like whatever, let them be there. Maybe you get down. Why? How are you always? And it's good. You shouldn't change. You should always be on the outside, because people lose friendships over spouses, right? Or they give up their friends before their spouses. But you do it so well, David and I will be at each other's throats. But you're just like, not my business, and like, whatever.
Yeah, my whole thing is, you big, he's big, you can handle your own business. You don't need me to get involved. And again, I think it's a case of, it comes with maturity.
Yeah.
In understanding that this is your and his discussion, debate, whatever the case may be. There's no need for me to pick a side, or there's no need for me to get involved. I think the only time when I would feel like I need to get involved is that if it got to a point where either you or he were being disrespectful to one another, and it's never gotten to that point.
Yeah.
Because of the level of friendship that you and he have outside of me.
Yeah.
And that's important to me, that besides you and I, you and him also have your own friendship, and the dynamic of your friendship is also different. And so, yeah, so my whole thing is that you big and he's big, and if you are having a debate or a discussion or whatever, the two of you are both big enough to handle it. And whatever, if you're angry about it, then you're angry about it, and you need to be angry about it, and you need to get over it, and you need to build a bridge and move on. But know that you're always going to come back to the core of the friendship. So,
and
so yeah, that's
it never things to, because I've already left your house like angry at Gabriel because he's going to put him out, and sometimes it affects me, right? Like like he's like you said the craziest thing. And sometimes it affects me, like if then I have to go home and shake it off and have a bath and just like shake it off. But the crazy thing is that it's never affected your and my relationship, which is so good. Our relationships are separate, even though it's in some you can say
so intertwined.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which is I think is another thing that's rare about us, because I have other friends. And I don't have this kind of relationship with any of my other friends, So I think that's really valuable. And in terms of your relationship with David, obviously we talk about your husband. Obviously, we talk about your husband. And I've heard negative things, and I've heard positive things, and I've heard extra wonderful things. But somehow it's never affected my opinion of Gabriel. Like it's never. If you've ever told me a very negative thing, and it stays between you and I. Of course, I don't tell anybody because it's not my business to tell. But my relationship with Gabriel has still been my relationship with Gabriel, and it's never influenced how I treat Gabriel or how Gabriel treats me. Because I don't even know if he knows if I know some of the things. Because I think wives must have a little bit of secrets. So, but it's never affected our relationship, and I think it's really a difficult thing to do. I must be honest, because when you hear a good thing, when I hear a good thing about Gabriel, that is done for you, or even like when I see Aaron sometimes, I'm like, oh wow, Gabriel did that for her, or I hear that Gabriel bought you something. I just want to give the man a hug and say, come on, you lick up, you're good because you're able to do this. And so obviously the positive things make me want to hug him, and the negative things make me want to slap him, right? But it's never been that way. I've just been able to just love him regardless of what I'm hearing or what I'm seeing. When you guys are having whatever you guys are having, if you're having a tough or like couples argue, it's never affected my relationship with him. And that to me, I feel like that's something that people also can from learning from this conversation. Is something that people should really be able to separate their friendship with their friend from the friendship that they have with a spouse, because it's two separate relationships. And these relationships can, if the one affects the other, it can really end. Like if I had to be
the other part,
cut me off, right? You could cut me off, or I could be in your ear about Gabriel isn't all that. You should leave it, and it could, because I like to think that we have some sort of influence over each other. Even though we are still able to think freely for ourselves, I could influence you negatively in terms of marriage and say you must leave this man or what. But the point is that Gabriel and I have my relationship, we have our relationship, and you and I have our relationship, and the two don't necessarily have to be in conflict. Finally, I want to ask you, not maybe the second to last thing, what is the what has our relationship taught you? Because we've been friends for long now, and I hope I have taught you some things, or our relationship has given you some fruit in your life. Otherwise, why am I alive?
Why are you here?
What is sort of the one of the biggest things that our relationship has taught you, has sort of brought some enlightenment into your life?
You know what? I think it's so ironic that you mentioned my brutal honesty, because I feel like you've always encouraged me to be real.
Yeah.
And I think that is so important. And whether it's me being real in relationships, whether it's being real to me, to myself, and just accepting me as I am. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned from you, because you are so unapologetically you.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
you know, these times when I feel like you saying, oh my word, my brutal honesty was overwhelming. I feel the same in terms of some of the things that you do and the boldness that you explore sometimes. I mean, you had braids that was orange and red and green and gray or white or whatever it was, and that for me was crazy. Like, it was out of this world. But you were unapologetically yourself. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, and I'm still trying to manifest in my own life.
Yeah.
Today still.
Sure.
So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
That's very cool, and that's very humbling to hear. Thank you for that. I think for me, with you, Kaydee, and I want to celebrate this day. I think that you helped me find my voice, like really, like it's really like as you say, an ongoing thing. Because I'll find myself in rooms with people where I just feel like I don't match up here. I don't match up here. These people are intelligent, these people are smart, these people are And then this Kaydee voice inside of me will say, it was like that will say to me, dude, you have a lot to offer. You are,
Why not?
yeah, and I really feel like that's something that you told me, because you're always so independent, and you're always so like up the control, and like you just liquor. You just so and I feel I attribute that to you never being shy to make your voice heard, regardless of the room that you're in. As obviously you do it very respectfully, you do it very articulately, and you do it very like in a very thought about way. And that's the thing for me, is that I really with our relationship, and obviously of course it was cemented in other ways. But I think with you, Kaydee, one of the big things that I find valuable about our relationship is that you help me find my voice, and then you obviously also encourage that I use my voice. And now we're on a YouTube channel, and this is just one of those ways that I'm using my voice, for example. And so I'm going to conclude.
That's lovely. Thank you.
And I want to conclude by just saying, I alluded earlier on to saying that I have a divine appreciation for you. And I think that this is really something that I want to share with the world about you. And I will say this at every occasion that I get to talk about you, is that you helped me come into I went through a season that was really tough, and you helped me come into a relationship with God again, right? And that for me is forever, like I will be grateful to you. Forever, I will give you my kidney if I need to, because this is such a valuable thing to me. But I want people to start thinking about how strategic God is in placing people in our lives. And when I look at you, if ever I doubt that things happen for a reason, I can look at you and say, like, yeah is a good example of why God does what God does, and how God operates the way God does. Because that's the divine appreciation that I have for you. I honestly think, like, and I don't say this again, I want you to understand the magnitude with which I say it, okay, is that I really think that you are a gift from God into my life, like honestly. And I want people to begin to think about their relationships and their friendships in that way. That in the beginning you said this is just for some people come for a season, and some people come for a longer time. And if people begin to see it as this is really a move on God's part to bring this particular person into their lives. They'll begin to appreciate that relationship for what it is and for what it can be, you know. And so that's like I have this divine appreciation for you. And obviously now, because I've come into that awareness that you are not just in my life to be in my life. You are in my life because God has orchestrated. So I can now begin to think of Divine, and I can now begin to think of Nicole, and I can begin to think of my other friends in that way, that this is really God has orchestrated that I meet and be in relationship with these people. But you are sort of the like the catalytic thought in terms of that. And so I love you until the day we die, and when we get to heaven, I'm gonna say that I love you again. I appreciate our friendship, and I celebrate you. I celebrate the mother in you. I celebrate the single woman in you. I celebrate the married woman in you. And I think it's important to say this to your friends. Is that I appreciate you, and I appreciate your presence, and I appreciate the non-expectation, especially that you put in my life. You are the best ever, and I love you, Kaydee. Thank you.
I love you too, my friend. So much.
Young husband, did I say hello? Your son is hungry. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
I appreciate
You're welcome.
Dancy.
Okay.
You like
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.